3,000 years ago, the Shang Dynasty ruled the Yellow River Valley. For a long time, the study of this period was guided by an assumption that this Bronze Age civilization was a strictly patriarchal world, where only men held the titles of king and warlord. That changed in 1976. Archaeologists excavating near the ancient Shang capital of Anyang located a royal tomb that had remained undisturbed for over 3 millennia, a find that is incredibly rare for this era. The sheer volume of wealth inside was staggering. They found nearly 2,000 artifacts, including these delicate jade ornaments. Pieces like these carved turtles and birds indicate the highest possible royal status. But the opulence was matched by a grim ritual practice. Buried alongside the main occupant were the remains of 16 human sacrifices and 6 dogs intended to serve their master in the afterlife. The burial was also defined by military power. Hundreds of bronze weapons were packed into the chamber, including these ornate dagger axes, which were the standard-issue weapons of the Shang elite. Given the presence of an army's worth of weapons and human slaves, researchers initially drew a logical conclusion. They assumed the grave belonged to a male king or a high-ranking military commander. But when the skeletal remains were analyzed, the findings corrected the record. This Bronze Age warlord was actually a woman. She was identified as Lady Fu Hao. She lived around 1250 BC, and for a long time, historians seeing her name in ancient texts categorized her simply as one of the many consorts of King Wu Ding. The archaeology, however, shows she held power in 2 very different domains. First, she was a high priestess. She was responsible for the most sacred blood rituals and served as the primary intermediary between the king and the ancestor spirits. Second, she held a high-level military command. Records indicate she was commander-in-chief of the Shang forces, leading as many as 13,000 soldiers in campaigns against rival states. Holding these roles simultaneously gave her a unique concentration of spiritual and martial authority. She occupied a position that existed outside the traditional gender expectations of her time. It is a valid question to ask how we can be certain of these details from 3,200 years ago. Can we really rely on artifacts alone to tell us her life story? This is an oracle bone. The Shang used animal bones and turtle shells to record history through divination rituals. These pictographic inscriptions represent the earliest form of Chinese writing. They're a readable language providing a verifiable record of the Shang court. Fu Hao's name appears on over 170 distinct oracle bones. This chart shows her historical footprint compared to other generals of the era, illustrating just how often she was consulted on matters of state. These inscriptions are detailed. They contain the king's specific questions about her military maneuvers and the outcomes of the religious ceremonies she conducted. The written evidence on these bones matches the physical weapons and cauldrons found in her tomb. This creates a level of historical corroboration that moves Lady Fu Hao from the realm of legend into documented fact. The 1976 discovery provided the first concrete data point that contradicted the assumption that Shang society was entirely male-governed. Her existence proves that in China's first recorded empire, gender did not prevent an individual from leading the military or occupying the highest levels of religious power. She was a priestess, a queen, and a warrior who successfully integrated the spirit world with the battlefield. Knowing that her story is backed by a massive arsenal of weapons and a verifiable written record, does she rank as one of the most interesting figures in the ancient world? Let us know what you think in the comments. Lady Fu Hao's story shows why we look at the archaeology to see the evidence that assumptions often miss. Subscribe to join us as we continue to re-examine the records of the ancient world, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to NovaMind for more inspiring thoughts and ideas.